Hi guys, it's your girl Rachel Rowe, and I'm back with another video. I'm so happy. As you can see, the sun is shining really, really bright. So I was like, why do I need lighting when I have God's lighting? When I have the sun. So I'm like, okay, let's just like go with the sun and get into the skin. I'm gonna show you guys exactly what I use, and this is just what I use. I would only hope that it will work like the same for you, but like our skin is different. So like I just want you guys to have that disclaimer before I show you. So here's the serum that I use. It's the ordinary absorbic acid, okay? Right? Don't look at my nails because it's just not right. It's not nice, okay? And then this is the moisturizer that I use. So these two products have like changed the game. I kept the same cleanser, same toner, but y'all see it. So get into it. But today I'm going to be talking to you guys about surrendering. And I think even as Christians, when we hear that, we're like, come on now. Like, I'm going to be for real. If I walk into church and they say the title of my sermon is surrendering, I'm going to be like, here we go again. But listen, stick with me now because God has shown me like the beautiful side of surrendering. So I'm going to talk to you guys about the beautiful side of surrendering. I think I'm going to name this video The Beautiful Side of Surrendering. Okay, so I was talking to God today and basically saying the same thing I usually say, which is like, God, please give me like what you want me to say. Like, please give me the video so that, I can make sure it's not my words and that is God's words. Because that is very, very important to me as a Christian YouTuber. I don't want to just get on here and say anything to y'all. Like, I feel like this looks so orange, but I promise y'all it's not this orange. Why does my foundation look so orange? This one probably doesn't match as well because I'm in my winter color. And so this is probably my summer color more so. So we just gonna rock it out with concealer. We're gonna figure it out. I was talking to God about it, and yeah, he was just telling me like, I have you in a season of surrender and it's not gonna last forever. Basically, I'm gonna restore you. So there's a scripture that I wanted to share with you guys, and I'm gonna put it on the screen, okay? Basically, what the scripture says is that you will suffer for a little while, but just know that all of your family of believers around the world is going through the same thing. Like, there are others that are suffering with you. And then it said, so while you may suffer for a little while, I will come back and restore and redeem you. Okay? Let me tell you guys what's been going on. So, I mean, I've talked about it in my past videos. I've talked about just kind of how, like, God has called me, like, to take a break from my relationship, and that was really hard. And how God has also kind of halted things as far as like my career, but also like what I mean is like certain like modeling things. Like, there were seasons where I was doing photo shoots like every week and I was posting a lot more. I felt like this particular season, like everything has just been on halt. Like, you just gotta wait. And it's been a little bit difficult. Like, it's been hard. Not a little bit, it's been hard, okay? It's been difficult. So I've struggled with like whether God like really has like a plan for me, and just like sometimes I would struggle with like comparison, like if I wasn't really like moving in my lane, but like I saw like other influencers and I'm like, oh, I need to be doing that. Like, I need to be doing this more or whatever. And so I was just kind of like struggling, and God revealed to me, like, I have you in a season of surrender. And in this season, I don't need you to move. I just need you to obey. And I've been in a season like this before, and I'm going to share that with you guys. So basically, there was a season after my dad passed when I was like struggling. Like, I was just like, it wasn't directly after, it actually was like a year or two later. And I guess all those feelings had just boiled over and they was ready to pop out. And so like I was going out a lot. I was just kind of like doing what I wanted. I was starting to like go out a lot, like party a lot. I was like hanging with like just different people, like just a group like that was just a little bit different than me, really. Like, you know, a lot of people were older and kind of like, I was just like, I had a lot of access, okay? So I had access to like parties, and I had access to like, you could get in free and you could do this and you could do that. And it felt good at the moment, but it wasn't like filling my spirit. So like, I noticed that because, like, don't get me wrong, like, I would have fun, I would dance, I would do whatever, but when you're looking for something and you're just not finding it, it's like you still go home feeling unfulfilled. I would go home and I would just be sad. Like, I would just be like crying in my pillow, just like very, like, you know what I mean? Like, just down. And what ended up happening was I kind of just like got to a point where I was like, okay, enough is enough. This is not good for me. It's not helping me. I'm not getting what I need out of this. So I kind of just like stepped away from all of that. Kind of just stepped away from the whole group. It wasn't any animosity at all, but it wasn't fitting, right? So at first I was like suffering and like dealing with it my own way. And then afterwards, God just kind of like spoke to me to like do it his way. Like, stop trying to like figure it out, just like come back to me. And so I did, and it was very hard coming back to God after my dad passed, because it was just like, what do you mean? Like, it was kind of just like weird. It was like, you did this, like, you know what I'm saying? It was like you took him away and you knew like how close we were getting, and you knew that he was about to like go after his dream of like having, my dad always wanted to have his own trucking business. So I'm like, you knew that he wanted to like do this, and like, why did you take him? So I was going through those emotions, and let me tell you what God revealed to me, and it was not revealed right away. What God revealed to me eventually was that it was all strategic. It was never just to make me suffer for no reason. Although I suffered after my dad died, my dad was suffering while he was alive. And he has taught me that I do not make you suffer for no reason. There are other pieces on the board that, like, my dad passing away wasn't God trying to be mean and make me suffer. It was God having to intervene on my dad's behalf. So, how does that relate to where I am now? Where I am now is that I am kind of struggling with not being in my relationship, because it's like a very, very healthy relationship. Just very like a great person, great presence in my life, right? And what God was telling me was that I don't have you in a season of suffering. I have you in a season of surrendering. And it may feel like suffering for a little while, but the difference between suffering and surrendering is that when you're surrendered, there's hope. When you are living a surrendered life to Christ, you know that your suffering has an end. You know what I'm saying? So suffering, just for the sake of suffering, is not what God has for us. What God has for us is that we live a surrendered life, and although at times it may feel like we're suffering, God will always restore us. And I thought about the fact that every move that God makes is strategic. It's not just that he wants to like mess up your situation for the sake of like, oh, it's a Tuesday and I'm bored, so let me go mess with her. Like, God is not like that. And once you kind of like get closer to him, you'll start to see that he is not like that. God is not trying to make us suffer. He loves to see us happy, loves to see us smiling. So that's kind of lesson number one, is like, God does not want to see you suffer. I promise you. That was something I struggled with for so long, because anybody who knows me and knows like my testimony, I've had like a really tough childhood. But I used to think God just wants me to suffer, because why does everything in my life keep going badly? Like, he just must want me to suffer. But then once I got to know him better, I was like, oh, there were other things going on. And it reminded me of a game of chess. So God gave me this analogy of the game of chess and how every move from the beginning of the game is strategic. So the way that he broke it down to me was by helping me to remember when I first started playing chess and how I felt when I first looked at that board and saw all those pieces and was like, this is confusing. Because they all had a different name, they all had a different purpose, and they all had different ways that they could move. And I'm like, what do you, how am I supposed to remember that this can only move diagonally and this can only move straight? I'm like, what is this? And I was so like overwhelmed and confused that when I first started playing chess, I used to just move pieces for no reason. I didn't know that every single move was important. I didn't know, wow, this is like really touching my spirit, because sometimes God reveals part of the word before the video and sometimes he reveals it during the video. But I didn't realize that all the pieces were important down to the pawns. I thought, okay, I just need to protect my king and my queen is super important. Don't lose the queen. But I didn't realize that these smaller pieces, these smaller moves were helping in the big grand scheme of things. So I used to just move pieces for no reason. And my partner, like my boyfriend at the time, who was telling me, like, teach me how to play, he would ask me, like, why'd you do that? And I would look at him and be like, I don't know. Like, I had no clue why I was moving things. And so, he would tell me how important it was. And then I started to play online, so that I could, kind of grasp the game more, right? Because I was sick of losing. I wasn't about to lose to him every single time, right? So I started learning how to play the game. On the setting that I was playing the game on, there was this feature and it would tell you across the top, mistake. And so you could learn okay, what did I do wrong, right? And when I was playing, I would see this word and it would say blunder. I was like, what is a blunder? And I just ignored it. I'm like, blunder. I didn't really know what it meant. But when I looked it up, what it meant was it was larger than a mistake. It was a critical mistake that worsened your position. And I was like, oh, okay, God, I see what you're trying to say. Is that when we're confused in life, we tend to make these impulsive decisions that are not thought through, things that we think will just get it over with. Like, you know what? I just need to make a move. I need to make a move fast. And you know what? I've been going through it here, so I'm going to move. I'm going to move to a different city. We do things like that. And that's a blunder. If God has not called you to move to a new city, do not move to a new city. Because the same problems you have here, you're going to have there. Because God has a plan for every move. Every move is strategic. And what God was telling me in this season is, hold on, there's a bus outside. My makeup looks good. I like how my makeup's coming out. Okay. So what God has been telling me in this season is, though you are confused, don't move until I tell you. And I was like, okay, God, because I didn't realize that God has a plan for every move that he made, even moves that didn't make sense to me. So, of course, there were times where I was like, God, why are you taking this great person out of my life that you show me that you put in my life for a reason? Why are you taking them out? I'm confused. This doesn't make sense. But I had to realize that every single move on the board was important and it was leading to a win. And when you live a surrendered lifestyle, you start to see that you actually don't have to do anything but obey. And so I'm in a season right now where God has not called me to move. God has not called me to do anything but to obey. Okay, so I just wanted to show you guys up close that I actually did put green under. And I really like it. I don't usually do like colors like under my eye or like colors in general, but it's just a little pop, like a little like, and it matches my shirt. So yeah. Trying to understand what God is doing is like trying to pick up in the middle of someone else's chess game and take over for them. You don't know what strategy they were using. You don't know what, they sacrificed this piece a couple rounds ago for this reason. You're just going to look at the board and be like, I don't even know your plan of attack. I don't know what's going on. And I think as humans, we try to figure out what God is doing. We need to realize that we are the pieces. We're not the player. And we need to realize that God is the only one who can move us strategically and who understands how to get us to victory. We can't do it ourselves. And so what I had to realize was like, I have to stop making moves on my own. Living a truly surrendered life is allowing God to move whatever he needs to move in your life. And that means relationships. If God needs to, friendships, if God needs you to physically move, he will tell you that. And if only he will tell you that. But I had to learn, like, my life is not going to be like me making moves on my own. And I thought that, like, I had this false sense of control where I was like, oh, okay, like, what do I want to do after college? Okay, I might move here, or I might do this. And now, as I'm getting older, as things are happening in my life, and I'm starting to realize that my plans do not always benefit me, I'm starting to learn that I'm not the player. I'm not the one moving the pieces. All that I am supposed to do is stay in my position, because when God is ready to move me, I need to be there. I just need to make sure that I'm staying in contact with him, staying on the board. That's all that God has called us to do, is to surrender and let him lead. But we always get caught up trying to play the game for him. He don't want you to figure out who your husband is. He don't want you to figure out what your career is. He wants you to just be ready and in position. You may be in a position where God has not moved you in a while. And wow, I needed this. I really needed this. You may be in a position right now where God has not moved you in a while. And it's confusing and it's kind of annoying, because it's like, okay, well, my friend just did this, and I thought that by this time I'd be here or I'd be doing this, but honestly, it's just not time for that. So you may be in a position right now where God has not moved you in a while, and you feel like he's forgotten about you, and you feel like, well, if God hasn't moved me, maybe I need to move myself. Maybe I need to move to a different city. Maybe I need to go on a dating app, because God hasn't moved in my relationship. He hasn't moved in my love life in 3 years. So maybe it is time for a dating app. And I'm guilty of it. I am so guilty of it, y'all. Like, I have been the same. I have been like, you know what? It's a pandemic. I can't meet nobody. I'm going to go on Hinge. I hated every second of being on Hinge. It was terrible. But it's just like, I thought, okay, it's time to make a move. But I think what we fail to realize is that we're not the ones making the moves in our lives. God is the one who's making the moves in our lives. So what we need to do is humble ourselves and realize that we're the pieces. We're not the player. We're not the one who decides where we end up. So I've just stopped answering. If somebody asks me what's my 5-year plan, I don't have one. My 5-year plan is to trust God. I don't have a 5-year plan. And I'm not saying it's bad to have aspirations or goals. I have things that I put in my notes, like that I wish to achieve in 5 years, but I don't have a 5 year plan. I don't have this is what's going to happen in my life in 5 years. What God is telling me for you, for me, for all of us is just stop making moves without me. Stop making moves in the confusion. Stop making blunders, unnecessary moves and mistakes that are causing you to worsen your position. Just stay in position and wait for me. Just stay in place and wait for me. Because I have not forsaken you. I'm not going. I didn't go over here and I'm just blessing Tommy. I promise you I'm going to come back to you. That piece, I'm going to move again. But I can't move you where I need you if you keep moving over here, because our whole relationship is me trying to move you back into the right position, where if you would just stay where I have you, I can use you for the grand scheme of things, the victory. You will progress. Because what I had to learn in the beginning of learning how to play chess is that the goal is not just to move across the board. The goal is not just to progress. I like it. I like this little pop of green. But I just wanted to give you guys like the end of the video, just the synopsis is basically that life for Christians is not about just making moves. The position that we play is we are the pieces, and we need to be humble and stay in position so that when he's ready to move us, we can move and progress. God wants to see us progress. He doesn't want to leave us sitting on the board, not doing anything. Every piece has power. Every piece has a purpose. And I just want you guys to be encouraged that if in your life you feel like God has not been moving you, has not been making you progress, or you're just confused, I want you to just stay put. And God has been telling me just be ready. Stay in your position. Don't go blunder. Say, hey, God's not moving over here, so maybe I should move to another city. Maybe I should get on a dating site. Maybe I should do this. Maybe I should do that. We're not the one who makes the moves in our lives. God will make you move. And the way that he will move you will benefit every piece on the board, because it's a bigger scheme to all of this. So I just want you guys to be encouraged, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. And until next week, keep it real.